using machine learning and artificial intelligence to defend against machine learning and artificial intelligence threats to your mobile device. I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Shridhar Mittal. He is the CEO at Zimperium. Welcome, Shridhar.
Thank you for having me, Tanya.
What does Zimperium do?
Zimperium is an enterprise software company. We have a product that sits on mobile devices and is constantly monitoring those devices to prevent and detect attacks.
What role does mobile threat defense play in the grand scheme of digital transformation?
Mobile is becoming bigger and bigger in every enterprise across the world because it has a direct impact on the productivity of the people. Now, the employees can actually connect to the same information they have sitting anywhere in the world as they did as if they were sitting on the desk. And so as more and more access is given to these employees, it is opening up the companies for further risk. And that is where mobile security comes into play, to actually try and protect the employees' data as well as the corporation's data from attacks on those mobile devices. So without these solutions, it would be difficult to get the full value of mobility.
How are you using machine learning and artificial intelligence to remediate mobile threats?
You know, as mobile threats are becoming more and more sophisticated, you cannot just rely on the older techniques of matching signatures. It's impossible to detect all kinds of attacks just by looking at signatures. So as threats are becoming more sophisticated, the techniques to detect them have to be more sophisticated at the same time. And there are so many different variables that you just can't set up some heuristics to say, if that, then that. You have to use machine learning principles that can actually handle large amounts of data, large amounts of variables, and still be able to see the correlations between them and be able to detect the attack. So our solution has an engine called Z9 that is built on machine learning principles. It has been built over the last 6 years, collecting data from millions of devices. And based on that, we can actually see patterns which actually tell us that there's actually an attack happening on those mobile devices.
Are threat actors using machine learning and artificial intelligence to make their malware harder to detect or remove?
Yes, they are. I mean, they are using all kinds of different techniques right now. You know, a few years ago, Tanya, people just wanted to insert some malware into applications and let people download those applications and therefore try to control those devices. But as threats have become more targeted and nation states are becoming more and more involved in these kind of things, the techniques that these hackers are using are becoming more sophisticated. And we have noticed their ability to use machine learning as well on the attack side to be able to create these sophisticated attacks.
What's unique about securing mobile devices compared to other connected devices?
The biggest difference, Tanya, is the level of control that the corporation has on those devices. Generally, the infrastructure and the devices that you are trying to protect, you have full control on them. Think about a mobile device that is actually owned by the employee, and the employee is actually the administrator of that device, and still trying to protect that device when you actually don't own it or you're not the administrator of it is far different from being able to protect your network or other endpoints that are inside your network.
What are the newest emerging threats you're seeing, and how are they different from those we've actually faced for a while?
Yeah, so this is, you know, as I was saying earlier, the attacks were mostly application driven. So people would put some malware into applications, put it up in the Google Play Store, the App Store, people would download it, and as soon as they started using those apps, the malware would take over the device. But that used to be a little bit of a spray and pray kind of attack philosophy, right? Because you don't know who's going to download which app. So as they become more and more sophisticated in terms of targeted attacks, I mean, if I want to attack a corporation, I'm not going to put an app up on the App Store and say, I hope that one of the employees actually downloads it. I'll actually go sit in a Starbucks or one of the coffee shops across the street from the building and try to intercept the traffic, try to see if I can get a password and log in from that. And from that, I can actually use that to attack the company. Or I will actually do a phishing attack. I'll send emails or IM messages to all the employees that I know of in that company and let them click on one of them and be able to capture information or be able to insert malware on the devices through that. So that is how it's changing. The whole landscape now has gone from the more spray and pray kind of attacks to very targeted attacks now.
iOS or Android, is one harder to hack than the other? I mean, does everyone also need to update their operating system?
Everyone needs to update the operating system. And, it's surprising that even though, and the Android ecosystem is absolutely so large that it makes it more and more difficult for an Android owner to keep up with the latest Android versions. It is a known fact. On iOS, it's all controlled by Apple, so it's easier for people to get updated. However, even then, we see about 24% to 30% of the people that have not updated their Apple iOS systems. And to be honest, Apple has done a few things which make it a little bit more difficult to hack. For instance, their control on the App Store is very different as compared to the more distributed system that the Android OS has. However, there are many techniques that are available to hack even iOS. I'll give you an example about profiles. So usually you can only download things from the App Store, but somebody can go to a third-party store and be able to download apps from there as long as they download this profile, which allows them to download those apps from this third-party website. And once they're there, they are just as susceptible as any other Android device. So both are not easy to hack, but not very hard to hack. And iOS definitely slightly better than the Android versions, yes.
What tips can you offer organizations looking to secure their operations?
I would suggest that you do a two-step process. The first is to really understand the risk. So do a risk assessment, and that is look at what kind of devices are being attached to your networks, what are the operating systems they're running on, how many are outdated versus the latest, what kind of apps are installed in there, are there any malicious profiles that are in there, are people connecting to networks that are known malicious networks, and we can actually help companies with that risk assessment. And then the second thing is to actually deploy an agent that sits on this device that is continuously monitoring those devices to make sure that there are no attacks happening.
Shridhar Mittal, CEO at Zimperium. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to find out more about how to keep their mobile devices secure, how can they do that?
So the best thing is to go to our website, Zimperium.com. There's a lot of good information out there. There's a blog out there, which our researchers maintain on a daily basis about the latest threats and the solutions to overcome those threats are. You feel free to send me an email. It's Shridhar@Zimperium.com. Also, if you need more detailed information, you can fill in your information on our website and somebody will contact you.
Sounds good. And if you want to find more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or maybe go to my website. It's tonyahall.net. I've got links to all my social sites. Thanks for watching.